I'll start with a couple of kind of interesting statistics on IoT. What I would say, I've worked in IoT for a year, and everyone I talk to has a different perspective on how big IoT is going to be and what impact it's going to have both globally and in New Zealand. You see lots of different statistics on the size of the prize, how it's going to play out, and what I would say is everyone's got a different view on that. What we know is that IoT will be big. What we don't know is exactly how big it's going to be and how it's going to play out. But a couple of interesting kind of openers on this, and I'll come to the relevance for our rural economy in a second. But I saw an interesting stat a couple of weeks ago. 90% of new connections to wireless networks in the US are now connected cars or IoT devices. So IoT and connected things out in the environment, in our homes, in our businesses, is becoming a reality worldwide. And Nigel talked about those stats that Ericsson are seeing in terms of IoT uptake a second ago. The second is from McKinsey. So when I look at numbers on IoT opportunities, as I've said, I'm a little bit sceptical because I'm not sure how we figure out exactly what the dollar opportunity is. But they are predicting that there's a potential $3.7 trillion global improvement in productivity and efficiency that's possible through IoT. So a massive opportunity on a global basis through the Internet of Things. And that's through faster production, better use of resources, better security for assets, better decision making, and the opportunities that IoT creates for sustainability. And what I wanted to share a little bit today is some of the things we're seeing in rural and agri New Zealand today, the use cases for IoT in New Zealand, some of the smart innovations that New Zealand startups and businesses have already got in place. We've heard talk about some of the lack of technology in agri and in rural New Zealand really this morning. I don't see that. When I go to field days and when I engage with businesses, I see a lot of really smart New Zealand startups and agri businesses that are doing some enormously kind of powerful things in our rural sector today. And as at Spark, really our role is to enable those businesses, to enable agri and rural New Zealand and those startups and New Zealand businesses to take advantage of IoT and to go global with those capabilities. And I'll talk a little bit about some of the smart companies that we're seeing. So what I might start on is a video which just kind of, when I talk about IoT, what I like to do is make sure we're all kind of on the same page about what we're talking about. So I'll just play it for you.
Thanks to today's smart technology, the Internet of Things is transforming business around the world. In New Zealand, Spark is leading the charge and harnessing the Internet of Things for businesses across the country, providing impressive gains in productivity and profitability. With Spark Connected IoT, we can connect your things, machinery and devices so you can track and analyse valuable information and even automate business processes. Different businesses have different needs, so we give you a choice of IoT networks depending on the type of things you're monitoring and the kind of data required. If you like, Spark can work with you to build a custom IoT solution, from selecting the best devices through to assisting with dashboards, so you can turn data into actionable insights. If you're ready to give your business an IoT edge, talk to Spark today about connected IoT.
So how does it work? For me, IoT is all about data and doing something about data. It's about collecting data out in the environment and doing things differently with that data. So on the left-hand side, it starts with sensors. Now, whether that's a lone worker sensor, so a device strapped into a jacket or somewhere on a worker who might be on a farm or might be out in a forestry environment, or a soil moisture probe that's out and you can have multiple of them in a farming environment, capturing information on soil moisture and enabling a farmer to make decisions around the way that they manage their farm off the back of that. Or it might be, and we'll talk a little bit about this, fuel tank monitoring, and we've got a partner that we're working with on fuel tank monitoring. That data needs to be captured, so we have gateways. Now, whether that's LTE, as Ericsson have talked about, or there's a range of other kind of IoT gateways and networks that can capture the data. That data's got to be captured, put into the cloud, and then really the key thing is on that right-hand side. So the dashboards or the solutions that enable farmers and agribusiness people to do something differently with that information, whether that's increasing efficiency of production, whether that's security of their assets. There's a whole range of different use cases. And bringing that picture together is what makes IoT mainstream. We're still working through as an industry making IoT seamless and easy to adopt, but bringing that together in a seamless way is the way we make IoT mainstream and enable farmers and all of our industries to take it up. At Spark, we've been working in the agri sector on IoT for a couple of years now. We partnered with NIWA, Balance and Farmlands to put IoT into about 60 farms in the Richmond Downs area of the Waikato. And our partners, NIWA, Balance and Farmlands, have been testing different IoT technologies on those farms. We've also got farms that have got technology in the South Island through that program, and it's really capturing a range of different information to enable those farmers to do things differently on their properties. Tony Walters is pictured there. He was our first farmer in Waiuku who drove a lot of our initial work on IoT and thinking about the opportunity. So connecting farms for us has been about putting in place at the top IoT networks. So in order to make this work, we've got to have connectivity that enables that data to be captured at the farm level. But then on farm, what we're doing is putting sensors and devices on farm that capture that data and are able to be provided back to the farmer to manage their property. So, examples on that picture there, and they might be slightly small to see, milk vat monitoring, animal tag and collar monitoring on cattle, tank monitoring, whether that's fuel tank or milk vat monitoring, and vehicle tracking and monitoring, so putting trackers on tractors or on farm vehicles on the property. At Spark, we're investing in multiple IoT networks that enable different use cases. So we've got an IoT network that enables really high data, kind of high quality information to be captured and transmitted across the network, but we're also enabling what are called low power technologies. So when you think about putting a device out onto a property, it might be important that it's got a 5+ year battery life on it. You might not be wanting to replace in the farming environment a battery on a gate open close sensor every month. You might not be wanting to change the battery on other devices across the farm. So it's important that the network enables low power technology in the environment, and that's part of the network that we're building out. So what I wanted to talk about was, as I said, some of the really interesting and innovative work that we're seeing through our work in IoT with New Zealand partners today. And the first use case is tracking things in remote places. And we've got an example there of the beekeeping industry. Theft of hives is a massive problem for the industry. So we've got an example. Arataki Honey last year lost $20,000 worth of hives through theft. Through IoT, and we've got a couple of partners, one HiveSafe and another ModuSense Layer X out of Hamilton, that are working on devices that are installed in hives to both look at performance but also look at monitoring the location of honey, of hives. And if you think about that use case, that's applicable across a range of different use cases in the agri space. So there's a whole lot of different assets that we can track and monitor and increase the security of through IoT. The second example, and I know that a number of you probably have boats and enjoy spending time out on the water. We're partnering with a New Zealand company, Boat Secure, which is supported by an Auckland business, IoT Ventures, and they have monitoring devices on boats. So they're installing devices that track battery performance, bilge pump, location, shore power supply. And really that's to give more information to boaties about their asset. You invest a lot of money in a boat, so you do want to kind of have information on where it is and how it's performing. And we had some good examples of boats where they've been hit by storms, and actually this information being provided through the Boat Secure system is enabling boaties to better kind of identify issues on the boat. That might be power supply going out, so they go out to resolve and stop the battery going flat. Really interesting and innovative ways to better manage a boat or an asset like that in the environment. The third is managing valuable resources. We're working with a company based in Palmerston North, Levno, and their core business is monitoring fuel tanks and monitoring milk vats. So they are using our LoRa technology to monitor and manage fuel information on farm. And so that helps farmers to more efficiently manage fuel supplies on farm, know when they're running low on fuel, manage delivery schedules for fuel, stop theft for fuel. There's a whole lot of different use cases for farmers when they understand, kind of across their properties and their businesses, about their fuel supplies and where they are. And if you think about the types of the other use cases for that type of technology, we hear a lot about sustainability. We hear a lot about supply chain and cold chain, and we know water is a huge challenge in the rural market. And when we think about those things, these technologies are really relevant to resolving some of those challenges. When we talk to farmers and to our partners about water and water monitoring, there's a huge amount of work being done to both improve the quality of water management on farm and also to be able to drive that and provide information. IoT has the ability by tracking, by collecting data and presenting that up to really help in terms of providing much more context on what's actually happening on farm and in our country. And the fourth use case, keeping safe on the land. We know that safety is a huge priority for all businesses, but in particular, if we think about forestry or we think about quad bikes on farm, there are some really high risk occupations out there. And being able to know where our people are and to know that they're safe is a huge thing. And so we are seeing a number of IoT businesses in New Zealand that are starting to really meet the challenge in terms of developing trackers and devices with accelerometers or that track information on where people are and what's happening to them on a real-time basis to provide much more information on people and to increase health and safety on the land. So I know that connectivity and availability connectivity is obviously something that's of interest to this audience. So what are we doing? We have 97.5% mobile coverage, and through our through RCG and UFB2, we're increasing that as part of that program. But we are also investing in a second IoT network, LoRa, which is the low power technology that I've talked about, which enables a whole range of different use cases on farm. And we've used LoRa in agriculture and connecting farms, and we're rapidly increasing the number of gateways on LoRa today. So we are investing both in our cellular network and enabling kind of more coverage in cellular, but also in other network technology, because we believe that in IoT, different technology will be required to match different use cases in this space. And to bring that to life, finally, what we're doing with both Levno but also with Cadrona. So we are in the process of deploying gateways, so connectivity into the ski field environment at Cadrona, so that Cadrona in the South Island can track information on bins. So for them, bin levels and waste is a big issue in their environment. So they want to be able to track and monitor and better manage waste in their environment. And the second use case is actually being able to track people on a ski field. So as with some of the use cases I've talked about, health and safety on a ski field is a big challenge. So they're interested for kids and for skiers on the ski field in being able to track and provide information on where they are. And so what we're doing to enable that is we are rolling LoRa gateways there, so we're able to flexibly deploy gateways and deploy coverage into that environment where we see a demand profile and where we can work with a partner like Cadrona to provide that coverage. And we've done the same with Levno on fuel tank monitoring in the Waikato and Manawatu. So we're working with them as a partner to quickly roll IoT coverage to provide their customers, the farmers that they serve, with information in their environment.